Tobacco, tobacco, sing sweetly for tobacco. Tobacco is like love, oh, love it, for you see, I will prove it.
You've done the reading. You crafted a conference paper from proposal to abstract to presentation. Now what? What's the point? Now you have to reflect on your research and give to others. It's a common argument in education research that we haven't really learned until we think about our own thinking, reflect on it, and internalize it through that reflection. And then, once we completed that process, I would argue that we need to share with others. Otherwise, what are we doing here? This week, you need to find the thing that you care most about from your conference paper. What excites you so much you need to tell others about it, or what disturbs you so much you need people to know about it. Take that kernel of an idea and share it with complete freedom. Here's what I mean by that. I've given you suggestions for how to complete this project, but if there's something you care about and you want to express it in a certain way, and you take what you've discovered and share it publicly, then you're good with this assignment. By doing this, you're engaging what's called public scholarship. So what's that? What's public scholarship? If you think about maybe a professor expert on the news or consultant with the film, that's part of it. When I was younger, I used to listen to this podcast called The Tolkien Professor. It was this medievalist, Corey Olson, talking about Tolkien's Legendarium and looking at the different roots of it in Middle English and Old English poetry and in Boethian thought from the philosopher Boethius. These are all good examples, but they're a subset that we call the public intellectual. And if we think exclusively about public scholarship in these terms, that leaves out a lot of people who are engaged in it. First, there's you. As student researchers, and that's what you are, you hold an important intermediary role between the university and the community, especially your local communities when you go back home. And then, this is a very important one that we forget about a lot, there's the communities that universities are already embedded in. So it's not that we're going to a community, a university is already in a community. In our context, we're already in the Vermilion community. We're in the Clay County community. So often we think of public scholarship as something that goes outward from the university, but it's actually a mutually enriching experience. Here's a broader way to think about it. Here's how I would define it. Public scholarship is the collaborative creation and dissemination of knowledge undertaken by multiple community members with the twofold objective of one, strengthening bonds between centers of higher education and the communities they inhabit, and two, reaching a richer understanding of reality in ways inaccessible to any group alone. So it's going to be community building with a concept of equality between the community members who are trying to build a project. And it's going to be dialogical in the sense that we learn about reality and have more insights by talking with each other across communities than alone. So while you're dreaming up and building your final projects, open to a wide range of suggestions, reflect on how you can strengthen the community and how you came to this understanding through the work of others. We're never doing this alone. And I don't mean specifically like the peer-reviewed articles you read. Those are useful, but there's so much more knowledge, creativity, and competency outside of those journals. Here's an example. I had you listen to a podcast done by a tobacconist because I've learned more about smoking practices and history from him than any other source. Here's another way to think about it. My favorite writer in education was this 70s priest, Ivan Illich. Embedded throughout his opposition to factory schooling and the factory schooling system is this idea of, here's the quote, I love this idea from him, the non-professional ministration of a neighbor. I think that's the heart of public scholarship and community engagement. We're neighbors and we need each other. So step back from the rubric I've given you and ask yourself, am I being a neighbor to my audience? If you answer yes, then the rubric won't matter.
Tobacco is like love. Oh, love it. For you see, I have